Hello! My name is Callista, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. In the last episode, we finished the descent. We left Volta behind in the Wellspring. What has she become? What will she do? Maybe we'll find out in Dragon Age Dreadwolf, but even if we don't, we should at least find out in The Missing, which is the latest comic that's been released for the Dragon Age series. So either way, we should learn a little bit more about what's going on with Valta. Now, in between episodes, I've sorted out my inventory. Everyone has the best accessories possible, except for, it was Sarah and I want to say Vivienne. They were the two that, they could have some upgrades in the future, but for right now, everyone has, the best that I could give. And they still look fabulous. Look at them. Look at my guys. Lovely. Now, Iron Bull does have a blue belt. However, because he's a Reaver, the Enhanced Belt of Urgency is actually the best belt for him, so I'm happy to leave him with this. I did also decide to respec Aenor a little bit, just because there was, I took To the Death and its upgrade, and I don't use it. I figured it would be better to respec and actually grab something that would actually do Aenor some good. So she does now have Challenge, which, I didn't really need. However, the important one, Trust the Steel, she now has that 20% armor bonus and 3 more Constitution. I think this is so much better for Aenor than an ability she will never use. All of the things on her hotbar are the same. I also have I'm sorry, I dinged my mic there, my apologies. I picked up the exact same upgrades for each of these. I just decided to get rid of the champion ability that I never use. So I'm very happy with that. Aenor was the only one I respect. I'm happy with everyone else's builds. And now that that is done and dusted, we should head over to the war table because it is time. It is time to make a start on the Jaws of Hakkon. I am very excited for this. I like the descent, don't get me wrong, but I do prefer the Jaws of Hakkon a wee bit. I like seeing all the nature and all of the new animal designs and all of that. I think that's really fun. Now then, we shouldn't have anyone doing anything. Oh, hello. Oh, bugger. Here's the thing. We have exclusive training, but what would be the point? Because if I pick this up...
You squint. Lake Callanhad is shaped like a bunny.
Perhaps we should take a... Oh, I think I see it.
The conversations we have around the war table now that Corypheus is dead. How lovely. Here's the thing. If I take this, I'll just be picking up an ability that I don't need. Because we're fully leveled, so it's not even like, oh, we might get another level, and then I'll be able to pick up a useful passive. So it'd be pointless. There's nothing under contracts. Oh, connections, excuse me. Why did I say contracts? Oh, apparently I'm just seeing things. There's nothing under connections that I need. Secrets. Forward scouts is useful. But here's the thing, we're on the second to last DLC. This would be useful earlier on in the game, but right now it's pretty much pointless. Same with these, I just don't need them.
You're doing it again. Oh, I do apologize.
Now that's going to be in my head all day.
Okay. I get this would be good early on, but we're at max level, so this is it's pointless. We don't use the horse all too often. We are on the final few DLCs. They do ramp up in difficulty. But even so, even in the Descent, which is like the final dungeon crawl, it was very rare that we used up all our potions. This one has the most use. It's a little superfluous, but I will actually use the potion, so you know what, go on. There we go. And yeah, we have no one doing any war table missions because we don't need them to. Investigate the Frostback Basin. To Ambassador Josephine Montillier. Thank you so much for your earlier correspondence. I confess it's been difficult to get those in Orlais to take this discovery seriously in light of recent events, but I am positive that scouting the Frostback Basin will yield historic discoveries beneficial to both the academic field and the Inquisition. As a staunch supporter, I am honoured to be working in such great company on this historic occasion. Yours most sincerely, Professor Bram Kenric, University of Orlais. Now, where do I think this is in terms of Aenor's timeline? I put the Descent at like 1 month after Corypheus's death. I would say this is taking place maybe a year and a bit, so maybe like 13, 14 months after Corypheus's death. Now, I did say Aenor only planned to be with the Inquisition for 6 months. Once that 6-month, countdown was up, she was going to go back to her clan come hell or high water. So, if that's the case, why is she still here? Well, I mentioned this during the Descent. She was betting on, they'll take my word seriously. They won't be dicks. They won't assume I won't go and just not find a replacement for me. They totally won't do that. Well, that's exactly what they did. It got to the 6-month mark. She was like, hey, I'm leaving today. I said I was going to leave today. How have you picked out the next Inquisitor? Do you want me to, shake their hand and hand the sword over to them? Are we having some kind of ceremony? What's going on? And, Cullen, Liliana, and Josephine kind of sat Aenor down and said, listen, we actually haven't found anyone. However, before you go, we invited some people to Skyhold that you might want to speak to. They're waiting for you in your quarters. Just please go speak to them before you, decide anything. So Aenor goes up to her quarters, and waiting for her is Keeper Istime Thoriel Llewellyn, a couple of her friends from within the clan, her fellow hunters, and her grandfather. He had a letter from her dad. I mentioned this in Aenor's backstory. Her father is a very sickly Dalish. He is, he's allergic to everything. He has terrible hay fever. And, they have to avoid certain forests, otherwise he will have a reaction to, the trees in that area. And he's a very bad traveller. So he sent a letter basically saying, oh, I'm so proud of you. Your mother would be so proud of you. I love you very much. I can't wait to see you when you get back to Wycombe eventually. Loves and kisses, your dad. But yeah, so the people there was the Keeper, a couple of her friends, and her grandfather, who is, for his age, he's pretty healthy. He's pretty hale. And, they caught up. They were surprised that, she didn't have the Valasleen anymore. She, explained, hey, I was told that they were slave markings, and that made me feel really uncomfortable. And to be honest, Aenor doesn't believe that they believed her. She just how they were speaking to her, she kind of thought, oh, you think I've been tricked. You think I've been conned into believing this, and you're just kind of being nice to my face right now. But they were saying, oh, it's okay, you believe that, whatever, but don't worry, it's a tattoo. At the end of the day, it's a tattoo, so we can put that back on you. Just give us a minute to get the ingredients ready. We can totally do that. And Aenor was saying, but I don't want it put back. What do you mean you don't want it put back on? It marks you as Dalish. Yeah, but it was a slave brand. I don't want to look at myself and see a slave brand. Well, why don't you look at them and see a Dalish? Yeah, I know what they mean now, though, so that's why I don't want that. And it did kind of spoil the mood a little bit. It kind of caused a bit of an argument between her and her members of the clan. Or the members of her clan, rather. Her grandfather didn't give a shit. He was just kind of like, a change is as good as a rest. You do you, love. But it kind of spoiled the mood with her clanmates a little bit. Eventually, the keeper said, hey, maybe your friends and your grandfather could leave the room and we could have a private chat. Her grandfather absolutely refused, like, absolutely not. You might be the keeper of her clan. She's my blood. That's my granddaughter. I'm not going anywhere. And so her friends left, and the keeper was basically saying, I've been told that you want to leave. Yeah, I do want to leave. I want to go back to Wycombe because Corypheus is dead. I'm not really doing much of anything. It's getting to the point where all I'm doing is I'm sat here. Occasionally someone might want something from me. Maybe someone wants me to go open a store, but I'm not actually doing anything here. Like, there's so much other stuff that I could be doing for the clan if I were back at Wycombe, so I want to come home. Well, yeah, here's the thing. You being the Inquisitor, it does such good work for the Dalish. People see you and they see a Dalish doing all of this stuff. It's helpful. You need to help out your people, and if you had your Valasleen back, it'd be even more obvious, but I guess it also works if they see an elf doing this. But this is your duty now. You have to do your duty, but it's making me miserable, Keeper. I wake up every day and I'm miserable. Please don't make me do this. I don't want to do this. Well, you have to do this. It's your duty. Why do you not want to do your duty? Why will you not make your clan proud? And anyway, even if you left the Inquisition, where would you go? What do you mean, where would I go? I'd go to Wycombe. No, you couldn't. Because if you quit being the Inquisitor, people will be mad at you. They know which clan you belong to. They'll come and harass us. Is that what you want? You want people to harass your clan? You absolutely couldn't come back to Wycombe. At which point her grandfather stepped in to say, who the fuck do you think you are, lady? I don't care if you're running the council. She spent more time in Wycombe than you have. Because she came to visit her family, her city elf family, every time you're passed by Wycombe. So she spent way more time in the city than you have. The alienage knows her. She's my granddaughter. She absolutely would be welcome in the alienage, in the city. I don't care who you are, you can't decide to keep her from the city. And they got into a fight. Aenor was just trying to say, grandfather, shut up, don't talk to the keeper like that. Oh, balls to the keeper. I don't give a shit who she is. You might respect her, I don't. Right now she's telling me that my granddaughter can't come live in a place that she's called home for years. How dare you? How dare you speak to her like that? The keeper kind of stormed out with this kind of, Aenor, think it through, be a good girl, do your duty. I know you'll do the right thing. I know you'll do the right thing, Aenor. You may only be half Dalish, but that half Dalish side, it means you value your duty, so do that. Think on that. Think on that, darling. Her grandfather was spitting feathers. Who the fuck does she think she is to speak to you like that? How dare she? How dare she say that? And Aenor's saying, well, she's got a point. I should do my duty. I can't be selfish. Who says you can't be selfish? You killed some big darkspawn bastard, stopped him from destroying the world. Who says you can't be selfish after doing all of that? Oh, well, it'd disappoint people. No, it wouldn't disappoint me. Wouldn't disappoint me if you did something selfish. Darling, you look a mess. You've got bags under your eyes. When was the last time you got a full night's worth of sleep? You look unhappy, pet. You look unhappy. You can't. Like, it's commendable that you're trying to do all this stuff for other people, but sometimes, it's not selfish to put yourself first. It's not selfish to want to wake up and not feel miserable. Darling, I get that you respect the keeper and all of this, but just, yeah, you can think on what she's saying, but think on what I'm saying. You need to put yourself first. Balls to what everyone else thinks. Balls to it. You do you, pet. Just promise me that you'll think about that. Promise me that you'll think on whether being miserable every day means you're acting selflessly. It's not selfish to want to be happy. Remember that, darling. Remember that. Yeah, I'll remember that, Grandad. And she does think about his words every single day. He left, and the look of disappointment on her keeper's face, it sticks with her, and that's kind of why she's remained. She's thinking, yeah, my granddad is saying I'd be welcome in the alienage, but from the sounds of it, it'd cause conflict with the Dalish. It would cause conflict with my clan if I was there. Do I really want to do that? Do I want that on my conscience? No, not really. So she kind of thinks, even if I left the Inquisition, if I wasn't the Inquisitor, where would I go? What would I do? She does have a point. People would be upset if I quit. And that could come back to hurt Wycombe. That could come back to hurt me. And I don't necessarily know if I want that. Even though I am miserable every single day, I can't have that. So that's why she's here. That's why she's still the Inquisitor. Although every day her grandfather's words of, it's not selfish to want to be happy. You should learn to put yourself first. Those words do echo in her head a little bit. Now then, connections. The University of Orlais has vouched for Professor Kenric. If he says there is something worthwhile in the Frostback Basin, we should investigate, and investigate we shall. We've scouted the region and set up camp. Professor Kenric heads the scouts gathering anything they can find. So far, we've uncovered a lot of very old buckles. Hopefully this yields something more exciting. Anyone who comes here should be ready for hostile wildlife and angry Avar. This place is dangerous. Scout Harding. Yes, we shall venture forth. Let's go with my go-to party. There we go. Now, we are about to meet one of my favourite side characters. I love Professor Kenric. If he were in Dreadwolf and he were romanceable, I would be very happy with that. I'm not gonna lie, it's the accent. The accent just gets me.
Good to see you again, Inquisitor. Allow me to introduce Professor Bram Kenric. He's the reason we're out here.
A pleasure to meet you, Your Worship.
Professor Kenric teaches at the University of Orlais.
I came on an exchange program from Starkhaven. While in Val Royeaux, I've found something incredible. After 800 years, we may be able to determine the final resting place of the last Inquisitor.
I'm so drawn to this one, just hooray. Interesting, hooray. Who was that? I studied Inquisitor Ameridan. Yeah, I imagine she would have. So like I said, this is maybe 13 to 14 months after Corypheus's death. There aren't that many people clamoring to meet the Inquisitor anymore. She doesn't really leave Skyhold all that much. It is primarily just her signing stuff and kind of acting as a figurehead, really, but she doesn't get to do much. So on one hand, she is excited that, like, oh, I finally get to do something. I finally get to be useful again. But at the same time, she really doesn't care. Who cares about the last Inquisitor? All she wants is to go home. Still, again, it's when she imagines, when she imagines, oh, yeah, I could say this, and like, oh, I don't give a shit about any of this, then the mental image she gets is the Keeper's face. That look of disappointment. And in a way, that look of betrayal. Or rather, Aenor feels betrayed, because she really does feel like, okay, you sent me to the Conclave. You're saying that it was because I was the best suited member of the clan to go. However, it does also feel like you thought I was the least valuable member. Like, oh, if we lose anyone, who would I be happy to lose? Oh, Aenor can go. And now that I've done what you told me to do, you're punishing me by telling me to stay away. And that hurts. That really hurts. She's got a lot of very conflicted feelings when it comes to the Keeper. Right now, though, I still don't think she wants to let her down. So we're gonna smile and be polite. Oh yeah, I studied Inquisitor Ameridan. So interesting.
The texts say that Inquisitor Ameridan was a dragon hunter who vanished on his last expedition.
Yes, precisely. I see you've read Lautrec's Precursors to the Chantry. Inquisitor Ameridan stepped down shortly before the Nevarran Accord brought the Seekers of Truth into the Chantry. He hunted demons, dragons, and dangerous apostates in a time before Templars even existed.
I'm all for history if it means tracking down the equipment of a famous demon hunter.
Oh god, I just like to imagine Aenor side-eyeing Cassandra a little bit like, oh, so he could retire. He could retire, but I can't, thanks. Thanks for that. Yeah, again, just smiling and being polite.
If the last Inquisitor has been missing for 800 years, it's only fitting that today's Inquisition help find him.
Your scouts have gathered artifacts from the area. They may help us discover what Inquisitor Ameridan was doing.
I have news as well. We've encountered hostile Avar to the north. They call themselves the Jaws of Hakkon. There's also an Avar hold to the east. Unlike the Jaws of Hakkon, they've been friendly so far.
The Jaws of Hakkon?
They're hostile Avar who attack any Inquisition agents or researchers who get close. We've sent soldiers for defense, but the Hakkonites are cunning, merciless, and know the basin better than we do. I'm afraid our men will not be able to hold out long.
Okay. Well, are you free to chat a bit?
I thought we could catch up.
Of course.
You know, first things first, let's talk about the area and this Kenric fella. Any thoughts on him?
Have you spoken to Kenric much?
A bit. He's quite nice, isn't he? And clever. Really loves his books. I said hello one day while he had his nose buried in a giant tome. His shriek was a winner. I can't stop doing it now. It's too funny.
How do you like the Frostback Basin?
It's lovely, isn't it? At least until you step in a pile of bogfish or poo. The stuff's vile. Makes great fuel for starting fires, though, if you can tolerate the smell. I might suggest that to the commander. It could be great for sieges.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Pelting the enemy's walls with animal shit. Oh, that would be cruel.
You want to use animal crap as a weapon? That seems underhanded.
Who said war was fair? I'd only recommend its use as a last resort.
And yeah, any thoughts on the Avar?
What do you think about the Avar?
When I was a little girl, a lady in our village used to tell me Avar tales. Being able to see their lives up close, it's nothing like I thought. They're very tall, aren't they? I was considering a proposal for Commander Cullen. Avar allies with dwarven archers astride their shoulders. They'd be unstoppable.
Oh, God, to be fair, that sounds like something Iron Bull suggested. He wanted Sarah to sit on his shoulders, right? And she could kill enemies from a distance. I think that was a thing.
I hear you have family in Ferelden.
Yes, my mother and father. I insisted they move to Denerim once I signed up with the Inquisition. Ambassador Montilier tells me I should invite them to Skyhold. She thinks they'd be proud of me. But after Haven, I just can't, you know? It's not that I don't trust you or our soldiers, it's just... I just want them to be safe. And if that means they don't get to see things firsthand, that's okay. My mother likes writing letters anyway.
That's fair. That's extremely fair. I don't think Aenor would take any offense. Like, she wants her family to be safe too. And if that means staying away from them, then so be it.
They say you grew up in a village. Where did you learn how to fight? Draw a bow? All that?
here and there. You pick things up as a little dwarf girl in a village filled with piggish Ferelden boys. I'm no artist with a blade. I just know what hurts and what takes them down quick. Bruised a shin or two in my day, and a few, you know, other things. And archery? Oh, there was a traveling hunter who set me up with my first bow and taught me the basics. After that, I practiced on my own. On squirrels, mostly. Oh, and Heinrich from next door, but only with padded arrows.
Oh, poor Heinrich. Though he probably deserved it.
We defeated Corypheus. I thought you'd have returned to your old life.
After everything I've seen, I don't think I could ever go back to my old life. Could you? I can't just pretend. I can't just pretend I'm the same person. I got a letter from my mother. She was happy the breach was sealed. She had no idea what we went through. And I don't have the heart to tell her.
Oh, Aenor doesn't know if she could go back to her old life, but she'd like to try, Cassandra. She'd like to try.
We'll continue this another time.
Be careful out there.
Oh, she will. She's always careful. Oh, it is nice seeing Harding again. I mean, to be honest, I don't think Aenor sees much of her companions anymore, because they all have their own lives. They all have things that they want to get on with. You know, Vivienne's trying to sort out the mages. Varric's going to help Kirkwall. Cassandra has the Seekers. And I do think they've all started, you know, like, first it was a week away from Skyhold, then it was 2 weeks, then it was a month, then it was a couple of months, and, you know, it is getting to the point where, you know, they come back to visit, but I don't think many of them are still living in Skyhold anymore. And how do I put this? Aenor, she does feel like, she kind of feels like everything is slipping through her fingers a wee bit. You know, she's been told that her keeper wouldn't... Oh, what happened to Jace? I want to know. Give me the gossip. How dare. But yeah, her keepers kind of told her, hey, you wouldn't necessarily be welcome back in Wycombe. Like, the city elves are saying they'd welcome you, but the Dalish wouldn't necessarily, because they'd probably follow, you know, the keepers, they'd probably follow her and what she's doing. And if she's acting cold, then, you know, they probably will. Her friends are all kind of disappearing. And yes, they're coming back to visit, but how soon until they stop? How soon until they forget about her? It just kind of feels like, hey, I did this terrible job. I did what I was told, and now I'm being left with nothing. I'm effectively being punished for this, and it just doesn't feel fair. A neatly penned note. Professor Bram Kenric. The requested supplies have been sent to your current location from the university, including additional ink, books on Ameridan, and 3 Divine Age buckles for purposes of comparison. And yes, upon your return you may say I told you so, in regards to my saying your collection was useless. Everything should arrive shortly after you. Of course, roads still aren't what they were. Also, I fed that fish, but I am not talking to it for you. Professor Cheval Laurent, University of Orleans. So he keeps fish. That's a nice hobby. I like fish. Very soothing pets. Okay, good for him. A baffled note. A note affixed to a book entitled Sur Lothar Vernet de Retz, Victory and Dominion. Lady Harding, I could use the opinion of an expert. Though impressive, the victory outlined on this marked page could not have been achieved as stated. Bram Kenric. Sure it could, if you had enough apples. Harding. What? I want to know what they're talking about. I want to see that full conversation. A letter to Harding. My darling Lace. I hope this letter finds you healthy and happy. Last week I managed to barter for maps of Ferelden and Orlais from Hugin. The old soldier who rents the place on Mistress Joanne's farm. You remember him, don't you? Quiet man, always smoking a pipe in his chair on the porch. He wasn't using the maps anymore, so I gave him some of my jam and patched his coat in exchange for them. Now, whenever you tell me of your travels, I'll be able to track where you've been. I'm astounded, my darling, when I look at the weave of dotted trails I've already marked out on my maps. Oh, the places your feet have touched. How far you've gone, my little lace. I am so, so proud of you. When I was your age, I'd only ever gone as far as Lothering. My mother never left Redcliffe. She lived and died there. And now here you are, flying so far with so much purpose. My mind can barely comprehend it, but my heart swells. I shan't take up too much of your time. I know how busy you are. I am looking at the frostbacks on the map as I write this, because I know you will likely be at your Skyhold. Please make sure to dress warmly. I have included the recipe for your favourite turnip goat stew, a taste of home to stave off the cold mountain airs. Kisses and hugs from me and your father, Mother. Oh, that's lovely. That's adorable. Okay, so we have something up there. Anything up here? Hello? You alright? Hi. Okay. Now then, I am just about out of time. Oh, pardon me, I'm coming through. Yeah, I'm just about out of time for this episode. However, we'll read this codex entry first. Property of Colette. Pages of neatly written, painstakingly detailed notes fill a well-worn journal. The notes break midway through for a list. Expedition to Frostback Basin. Preparations. Reread Finding Ameridan. Complete. Review notes on appropriate excavation methods. Complete. Practice categorization of minute material artifacts. Complete. Read book on Frostback Basin. Complete. Practice camping. Complete. Note, bring a pillow. Reread An Anatomy of Various Terrible Beasts. Complete. Learn to fence. Cannot find willing instructor. Ask brothers for fencing/defense lessons. Bad idea. Read book on survival and defense. Complete. Bring towels. Packed. A few idle swirls follow, along with a tiny sketch of an elf defending a stack of papers from various terrible beasts. The caption reads, Fieldwork. An elf defending a stack of papers, and then learn to fence, cannot find willing instructor, because no fencing instructor in Olay would be willing to teach an elf. That is very sad. God damn, Olay is such a racist country, it's so bad. Oh well, in the next episode we're gonna go have a chat with Bram, but until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Callista, thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.